Hello and welcome to this course in trigonometry. I wanted to start by way of an introduction. There are actually a couple of different approaches used when an instructor teaches a course in trigonometry. One is the unit circle approach, and the other is the right triangle approach. Most instructors, myself included, will actually teach both of these techniques, these approaches to trigonometry. The question really is which one to teach first. My preference is to teach the right triangle approach first because I feel like it's more intuitive. There's a lot of memorization to the unit circle approach. You have to know about the various angles between 0 and 2 pi. You have to know what their measurements are. You have to know that the point, any point on the unit circle can be found by knowing the cosine and the sine of the angle associated with that point. There's just a lot of memorization. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't feel like it's a good way to learn trigonometry. So in this class, I'm going to start with the right triangle approach. We will address the unit circle, but I'm going to start with the right triangle approach because I feel like it's easier to explain what's going on if you know three things. Well, maybe four things. An angle, the length of the side opposite the angle, the length of the side adjacent to the angle, and the length of the hypotenuse of that right triangle. Pretty much everything we need to know about trigonometry can be identified or can be defined on these four things. Oftentimes we only have two or three of the things. For example, as we'll soon learn, the sine of an angle, theta is often used for an angle, the sine of an angle, so I'll say the sine of theta here, is equal to the length of the side opposite that angle divided by the hypotenuse of that angle, the hypotenuse of the triangle. So with these two pieces of information, you can find the sine of theta. In the unit circle approach, you have to memorize that the sine of a given angle is a given number. We will be doing some of that memorization, but to start out with, to get you going, to help you see what trigonometry is all about, I'm going to start with right triangles. The textbook that we use is cleverly set up so that you can either teach the unit circle approach first or the right triangle approach first. In fact, you can teach one or the other and not teach the other, although I don't know any instructors who would do that. Because of the way the textbook's set up, we'll be starting with the right triangle approach, and as we need it, we'll pull some information in from the other chapter. Now, unfortunately, from my perspective, these chapters are backwards. So we're going to be doing chapter 6 first, and then chapter 5, but rather than do all of chapter 6 and all of chapter 5, we'll do chapter 6 and just pull in information from chapter 5 as we need it. So that's the approach for this class. If you've had some trigonometry before and you already know about the unit circle, you're welcome to use that information as we go through the course. But if I ask you to tell me something based on the right triangle approach, I will expect you to do it from that perspective. You're welcome to use the information that you know about unit circles in answering questions about right triangle trigonometry, but just make sure you also use right triangle trigonometry. In other words, do the work based on the way I ask you the questions and then use your knowledge of unit circle trigonometry to sort of check your answers. Okay, so with that introduction, let's get started.